Hi, I'm Lucy from Sew Essential and I'm here today with a roundup of patterns, fabrics, hobby and tutorials for the Great British Sewing Bee Series 10 Week 7, which was lingerie week. Everything I mentioned, it's all linked on our website. You'll find links to everything I mentioned below, and there's also a link to our weekly newsletter for a healthy dose of sewing inspiration straight to your inbox. So lingerie week then. First thing I have to say was I loved the music they chose for the show this week. I thought there's some great songs. That's always one of the things I enjoy about the show that's non-sewing related. One of my favourite songs was in there and just some of the choices make me smile. But yeah, some really interesting challenges for the bees this week. First up was sewing a pyjama blouse with a flat piped edging, and I think they had to make it in a silky fabric. Well, everyone chose silky fabrics anyway. So obviously sewing with those slippery silky fabrics can be quite tricky. Getting the flat piping nice and even was tricky. So I'm going to put a link to sewing with slippery fabrics tips article for you below, and I'm also going to put links to our videos on how to sew lovely neat even piping below as well. You can do it on your sewing machine and on your overlocker, believe it or not. It is the piping which is a bit easier to do, which has got the cord inserted in it, rather than the flat piping which was used on the pyjama tops, but the cord piping looks just as lovely. So I'm going to pop tutorial links to all of those for you below. But in terms of my pattern picks, the first pattern I chose was Simplicity 8803, which has got a really good range of sizes in it because it goes right from a children's sizes up to adult sizes. They are pyjama tops with optional patch pockets, piping round the collar and at the cuff basically the same as the one they used on the sewing bee, and then you get drawstring trousers with the option for a piping section and a cuff on the trouser as well. Really lovely pattern. You can sew it up in a wide range of fabrics, but we've just had this cotton fabric in which I think would make a beautiful blouse or dress or top, but I also thought, oh, it makes some really pretty summer pyjamas as well. It's a lovely lightweight soft cotton, and I think that would look gorgeous, and then you could pick a contrasting colour for the piping. We stock piping cord and bias binding to make your piping with as well. I'll pop links to all of that below. It's all mentioned and shown in that tutorial I was talking about. And we also stock piping feet as well, and that is a really good way to get a lovely neat even finish on your piping, is to use a proper piping foot on your machine. So I'll pop links to that below as well. The other pattern I felt I had to include is the Carolyn Pyjamas by Closet Core Patterns. Again, very traditional style. A blouse top with a patch pocket on the breast this time, and you've got the option for a long sleeve or a short sleeve, and then you've got the option for full length trousers or a pair of shorts. So and from experience I've made quite a few Closet Core patterns, really like the instructions. I think she's really sort of detailed in the instructions, but she's just got such a huge amount of expert knowledge, and that really comes through in her designs and her instructions. And for the Carolyns, I thought, what about this lovely linen cotton fabric that we've just restocked, which is an absolute classic, just a lovely blue and white stripe, really lovely sort of soft fabric. I think it's a linen cotton rather than a linen viscose, but all the details are on the website. Just check out the links below. But yeah, it's a really lovely soft fabric and would make a gorgeous traditional pair of pyjamas, and then you could choose your piping again to contrast with that. You could go for a nice bright contrast if you wanted, just for a cheeky pop of colour. So that's my choice for that one. And then also I spotted McCall's 8484, and I felt that this was very in keeping with the sort of celebrity trend that they spoke about on the programme, where people have been wearing what looks like pyjamas to go out and about, and that is McCall's 8484. It's really sort of interesting design. You've got a little collar on it, but then you've got a button band, and either side of the button band is piped, so I thought that was a really nice idea. Then there's like a deep panel at the hem, which is echoed on the full length sleeves, and then that is piped around the top where that sort of deep cuff or hem joins the main bodice or sleeve. And then there's a pair of long trousers that you can make with an optional sort of tape strip down the side, and again those deep cuffs. But then you've also got the option for a short sleeve version with shorts as well, so a really lovely pattern. And for that one, I thought you could use this really gorgeous viscose fabric that we've got, which I actually made a blouse in, and I really love the blouse. I just love the colours in this, and it is the most silky, soft, beautiful quality viscose. It's like a viscose chalet, I think. But I always thought, oh, this would make really nice pyjamas or even nightwear as well. So, and then you've got so many different colours to choose from to do a bit of a sort of popping piping. And then I thought as well, those sort of deep cuffs and that hem band, you could pick one of the colours out of this as a contrast as well. So you could really have a lot of fun with that fabric and that pattern combination. And then onto the made to measure challenge, the Sewing Bees had to make a bustier top and skirt or dress. So the challenge here was getting that fit absolutely spot on. Really, they needed to use underwire, they needed to use bust cups, and they were using boning as well, all of which we stock on our site. We've got boning, we've got underwires, we've got padded cups, all of that on the site, so I'll link to everything below for you. But yeah, a really sort of tough challenge to get that fit absolutely spot on. And I was amazed with a couple of the dresses particularly stood out to me, and I thought the detail and the level of sewing and the neatness and what they achieved in such a short space of time was really outstanding. I think there were bees that struggled again with lots of the tasks this week, but certainly a couple of people really stood out in the made to measure challenge, and I think most people got on okay with the pyjama top as well. There were a couple of sort of really sort of ones that didn't work out quite so well. But anyway, so the first dress I want to talk to you about was Pascha, who made a bustier top, and the fit was absolutely spot on. She got the fit round the bust really spot on, and then she had a lace panel. I think she used sort of like a very neutral colour on the base, and then she used black lace over the top. She had lace panel over the top. She had beautiful black eyelet lace, which I love, around the bustier, very fashionable. And then she made a skirt and then had a tulle overlay over the skirt, and it was all very pretty, very feminine, fitted really well, sewn really well. It was just gorgeous. And then somebody else who made something very similar was Suzy, and Suzy again made that very fitted strapless bustier bodice, and then she made like a fitted sort of pencil skirt with a big ruffle hem round it, and she did colour blocking. She did like pink and yellow and green, I think it was, and she sort of mixed and matched the different pieces on the bustier, which I thought was a fun idea. So the pattern I chose that I thought you could use to make something similar to both of those was Simplicity 9850, which is a Madeline pattern. It comes with cup sizes A to J, and Madeline is an absolute like expert in lingerie making. If you haven't heard of her, do check her out. She's on Instagram, and she's an independent pattern designer as well as doing designs for Simplicity. But what that lady doesn't know about bra making and fitting isn't worth knowing, to be honest. She's done all sorts of things, like brought out a bra pattern for a J cup that's meant to be absolutely incredible and fits beautifully. So yeah, I know this pattern would be really good. And you've got the option for a dress with like a gathered tulle overlay, or you've got the option for a jumpsuit as well. They have got straps on them, but I'm pretty sure like with a good fit you could make this strapless like Pascha and Suzy did. So that was my choice for that one. And I thought what you could do the reverse. We haven't got lots of tulles and things like that. We don't generally stock those sort of like really dressy fabrics, but we have got a beautiful lighter weight Duchess satin called Mystique in black. So you've got the silky side and you've got the matte side, and then we've also got some lace left. Now this lace is going, I think it might be like half price. we've been selling it off, and we've got a few other colourways left as well. We haven't got much left now, but I thought you could almost do the reverse effect of what Pascha did in the show, and you could use the sort of neutrally colour over the black for a contrast, to do something similar to her. And then in terms of Suzy's design, I thought you could go for that sort of colour blocking again, and we haven't got the same sort of colours as Suzy, but in our Duchess satin we have got like a Neapolitan ice creamy type mix. So we've got the pale lemon, the pink and the peppermint green, and I thought you could do something similar with those fabrics. So that's the Duchess satin, so that's got a silky side and a matte side as well. And then the Alex also made a dress that just absolutely wowed me. I thought what she did was brilliant. She made an inside-out bustier top, and she put the boning on the outside, but she put rickrack either side underneath, on top of the bodice, but underneath the boning. So it created almost like a polka dot sort of effect, where the boning was on the bodice, which I just thought was so clever. And you know, when she told them what she was going to do, they were like, "Oh, that's a lot of work." But she went for it and she did it, and I thought she executed it beautifully. And then she had this gorgeous jacquard polka dot skirt with a tulle overlay over the top, and it just all looked so good. The only thing they felt she fell down on is that the bustier didn't quite sort of meet the body in the middle, and they said actually she could have used some underwires to get that fit, just more sort of snug against the body. But I really thought what an outstanding sew that was, you know, in the amount of time. I really thought it was beautiful. So she did the cups obviously opaque, and then she had like the sheer mesh on the bodice, with this rickrack and boning on the outside, and then that beautiful jacquard polka dot skirt with the tulle overlay. It was just really pretty. The pattern I thought you could use to recreate something similar was Simplicity 9293. It's a Gertie pattern. Again, Gertie's a real expert with the boning, with the bust fitting. She's a vintage pattern designer, so I know this would be really good for something like this challenge. And there's the option, it's actually a slip pattern, but there's the option for a strapless fitted bodice with a sweetheart neckline, and then there's a gathered skirt with an overlay. It is a tiered skirt, but I thought you could easily omit the second and third tiers and just lengthen the first one to get that same effect that Alex did. So that was my choice for hers. Again, we've got the Mystique satin that you could use for the bodice, or you know, you could source some mesh or whatever, but I love that idea with the rickrack as well. But yeah, beautiful dress. And then on to Luke. Luke made, I'm sure it was the Vicky Sews Ornella dress, which we've got in stock. It's got cups which are pleated on the bottom half, and then there's a sort of non-pleated panel across the top. There's boning on the bodice, very fitted, and then there's a beautiful sort of straightish skirt, but with a like a godet or a train at the back, little straps and boning at the back as well. Really, really beautiful. I think Luke struggled a bit with the pleats. It was very difficult to get those pleats beautifully even, and the fit around the bust as well was tricky for them. But I think that is a beautiful dress, and Luke used a sort of blue colour, blue and black, for their design. I thought this blue, royal blue in the Mystique was lovely, so I thought you could use this to create something similar, and you could mix and match it with the black Mystique to create that beautiful, beautiful dress. And then onto Ailsa, who I thought was really interesting. She was like dead rebellious. She said, I want to make a corset that almost looks a bit unflattering, so that it's sort of bucking the trend against like what the corset was designed to do to a woman's body. And what really made me smile was, you know, I see Esme as a bit of a rebel when you hear about her sort of youth and her fashion days and whatever. But Esme's face when she heard the plans looked very sort of concerned, and I didn't seem very keen on it at all. But then I think she was sort of impressed with the idea in the end. But I thought you could use another Vicky Sews pattern to create something similar to Ailsa. She did a sort of strapped, a bustier with the straps, and then she brought the centre front panel down at the front. The Vicky Sews tally bustier top, very fitted. It's got channels on the outside, which I think might be boned, and then it's got that V at the front, so you could lengthen that if you wanted to create something similar. And then Ailsa did like a sort of draped skirt either side of that centrepiece in seersucker. And then finally, Marcus went for a sort of, I thought it was lovely, he was like dead excited about his design. He said this was his favourite design, and it just screamed Avril Lavigne to me. He said it was skater chick meets, went to a My Chemical Romance concert or something. But yeah, it was a definite skater chick vibe. So it was a fitted bustier corset, and then it had like a gathered skirt that was sort of all different lengths, and he made the bustier corset in satin, and then he made the skirt in tartan. And I think he did his boning, he did like a contrast boning with white satin bias or something, which he got the idea from. I think that was from like a My Chemical Romance video, he said. But yeah, a fun project, a fun idea, I'm sure, to be able to make. Probably actually some of the skirt pieces on this pattern you could use for Ailsa's skirt if you lengthened it. But the pattern I chose was Butterick 6338. And yeah, if you used view A with the skirt G, I think you could create something very, very similar to what Marcus made. And we've even got the tartan that Marcus used. So this is the same colours as he used. I'm pretty sure it's the same tartan design, and yeah, you could use that for the skirt, and then, you know, one of the black satins for the bodice. So yeah, that's it for this week. Everything I mentioned is linked below. I'll link all the boning and lingerie supplies and all that sort of thing, and don't forget the tutorials are down there as well. Looking forward to next week. Wondering now who is going to be in that final. What's your guess? Tell me in the comments who you think is going to make it through to the final 3. Hope you've enjoyed that today, and if you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.